we spent the past couple of years in a crazy hot market. Louisville home sales decline as demand outpaces supply. Effective communication is at the core of any situation. If you master these two ideas, you'll have a chance of being successful at residential real estate marketing. I think you need to be looking for investment opportunities that move the needle. The market will never crash if demand exceeds supply. This is what I've been telling you all along.
This is the Jay Pitts Show. And we're back, folks. Welcome back to the Jay Pitts Show. I'm your host, Jay Pitts. I always look at Ryan when I say that because he's always seemingly startled because we go from dead silence and the countdown to starting to like this loud, energetic introduction.
I'm just getting my game face on.
You are getting your game face on. I get it. Okay, so co-host Ryan Harris is here. We've got a great show for you today. I'll be finding out what we have in store for you at the same time you do, as always. So, Ryan, what you got?
Yeah, we got a good show planned. I think the last one was a really good show. So if you haven't listened to that one, definitely go back and give that a listen. Yeah, man. We'll just start out. Do you want to go over Resource Live again?
Quick plug. Resource Live, August 15th, 10 to 2-ish, probably sooner. Maybe you can stay till 2 and do some networking because we probably won't go the full time. 2 national speakers, Jason Pantana, number 2 at Tom Ferry's organization, Debbie Holloway, former Louisville's number 1 agent and former top-level coach at Tom Ferry's organization, also a local real estate Hall of Famer. Basically, we're going to feed you. We're going to give you lots of knowledge. We're going to have a 5-agent, awesome panel that is coming to shape as we speak. I'm not going to let out who that is just yet, but amazing 5-agent panel discussion after the 2 speakers that I will moderate and would love to have you if you're interested. You must be a real estate agent in the greater Louisville area. I've been asked if Elizabethtown counts. Absolutely. You are welcome to reach out. If you're willing to drive in the morning of, then I'll have you. Lexington, you're fine. Southern Indiana, you're fine. But you must be a realtor be interested in hearing some good speakers. The only place we have publicized this in a public setting is this podcast. And that's the only way we will do it if we get the interest level that we expect. I've had a number of people reach out to me from this very podcast and ask, and we have got them registered. So if you would like to, you don't have to be an agent of RPP. Now, there probably will be I would guess between 80 and 100 of our agents show up there that day. It is kind of being billed as an internal training, but we want to spread the wealth and offer it to others that are like-minded and interested in learning how to progress in this ever-changing world of real estate. So that's my plug, August 15th, 10 to 2. Come get some great knowledge.
Gotcha. And this won't be live streamed, right?
It will not be live streamed. It will not be recorded.
So if you want to
go, you have to see it in person. It's the Geens Lodge at the Parklands at Floyd's Fork. It's an amazing room, great setting, secluded, no distractions. Again, we are providing food, little, light breakfast and then a box lunch. Going to be exciting. Going to be great networking opportunity with like-minded agents. If you find yourself in an office where that is you're not getting the kind of conversations that you'd like to get. There's no sales pitch. There's no recruiting pitch. This won't land you on any sort of call list or, email campaigns. You won't get DMs from me asking you to switch brokerages. I don't know if you believe this or not, but that's not how I roll. 100% of our agents here are inbound, to me. They reach out and want to meet, or they're referred by someone else. Most of our agents are new to the industry. We have had a number of agents move over from other companies because they have heard and like what we do. So again, not recruiting. Come get your knowledge. That'll be the end of it.
Yeah, cool, man. Looking forward to it. All right, before we get into our listener questions, I want to go over a couple local related events. So first, ISCA Championship is next weekend. It's in Lexington. I say local, though, because there's a couple Louisville boys competing. It's a PGA Tour event.
Nice.
It's a Champions Trace, and all these players are just as good as the other guys on top of the PGA Tour. It is a PGA Tour event. They're just 1 or 2 shots away from being where the Jordan Spieths and Justin Thomases of the world are.
Very cool.
Definitely suggest you go. Cooper Musselman's one of the local guys playing. Steven Stallings is the other one. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'll be out there next Saturday. So it's the 11th through the 14th. And that tournament will be in Louisville the next few years. I think I think they have a course in mind, but they're still trying to nail down the details. So
Okay, we're not breaking news here on the course.
no. I mean, I think it's
there's-
like I think everybody knows where they're thinking about having it.
All right, well,
Hurstbourne.
okay. I mean, I was just saying, like, well, that would have been my first guess.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, so this is the rumor that we heard coming out of the PGA that Louisville was slated for an ongoing PGA event. Is that kind of what you're telling me?
So this used to be the Barbasol. And
Okay.
now it's the same week as the British Open. So you don't basically
get a
all the
little
guys that don't get
overshadowed.
into the British Open, you get those guys.
Okay, that's cool. So, and it'll be PGA, obviously, so you won't get any of the live guys.
No.
But it's not like the PGA Championship or any of the majors that have come to Valhalla. But it's still cool. It's great for our community and the golf.
Yeah.
Hurstbourne's an amazing track. I mean, that's what we said. Did we talk about that on this podcast? Where we thought it might be? Like
we might have.
I mean, you know, you hear things about, you know, good things about Heritage Hill. You hear good things about, you know, Persimmon being tough. You hear, you know, good things about Big Spring, for example. But Hurstbourne really kind of stands above, right, in terms of the course itself. Club wise, you know, you've got LCC, right, is another great club. But Hurstbourne is just kind of like its own setting, right?
Yeah. I mean,
there's
it's going to
nothing
be
else
it's going to
that
be
really
kind of
compares.
depressing to see how low of scores the pros shoot there. Because I mean, they made it harder. They did some course changes, but it's going to be a great event, and I think the turnout's going to be way more than they're expecting. I think it's going to be the corporate's going to sell out. I think tickets will sell out. I mean, Louisville's just so much bigger than Lexington.
Yeah.
And when there's the thing to do in Louisville, the city of Louisville shows out for it every single time.
Absolutely.
And even though it's a lower tier PGA Tour event, I think it's going to be insane.
Well, I mean, it's the opportunity for Louisville to show that its golf community is more than just Valhalla.
And maybe the city of Louisville can buy the Boston Celtics. Do you see they're for sale?
Dude, that's what I heard.
$6 billion.
Yeah, but
Bought it for $330 million.
it's crazy, man. It's crazy. Those are the best deals in sports. Or the best deals in business is these guys that are ownership groups that get the opportunity to buy in, and then they just
Dave Portnoy, I don't know if you saw it. He basically outed himself as his net worth. He goes, "I'm about $4.9 billion short." So I guess he's got the $1.1 billion.
So he's a Billy,
total net
huh?
worth.
I mean, I figured he was getting there.
I think he's a part owner in High Noon.
Okay.
There's no telling what that's worth now.
Yeah, no telling at all.
Uh,
Well, okay, so back to the Barbasol or
ISCO
former
Open.
ISCO Open. That's really exciting.
It is.
It's exciting for Louisville. I get it that it's going to be kind of a second tier being held the same week as a major championship, but good for Louisville. Love seeing that. Love seeing it at Hurstbourne, and that kind of informs. You know, we have our annual golf scramble supporting Children's Miracle Network at Hurstbourne. It's been there twice. We just talked about this morning. The planning is really ramping up for this fall for that, but that informs some of the renovations that were going on during last year's golf scramble while we were out there. I mean, the writing was probably on the wall.
It's a lot harder now.
Guaranteed.
Look at reigning champ, my team. I didn't even hit a golf ball.
Well,
I am going to play this year.
I mean, let's
no way
just-
I'm paying it again and not playing.
just ringered out.
So
Whole
one of the
team.
guys on my team is
Corn
playing
Ferry
in
Tour
the
player.
ISCO Open this next week.
So one of your guys that was on your scramble team that won
he's made a few PGA Tour cuts.
made a few PGA Tour cuts and is playing in this very tournament that's coming to Hurstbourne at Hurstbourne last fall.
He also won the Kentucky Open at Hurstbourne 6 years ago or something like that.
Well,
So yeah, man,
good for you, Ryan.
good coach.
Good
All
for
right,
you. Ryan's a scratch golfer and couldn't even make his own team. Like that's basically what it boils down
just
to.
gave it to all 4 clients. But
Oh,
all right.
gosh.
So the second thing, Rick Pitino is dead to me, and should be to every Louisville fan. Just had to bring this up. So he went on a podcast I listened to last week, Part of My Take, and he basically said he's kind of threw a little shade at Louisville, which whatever, understandably so. I get why he's bitter towards Louisville, but then he went on to say he is donating money to UK baseball and the UK football programs, which is just insane to me. He said he would donate to UK's basketball NIL if Mark Pope asked him to, which I don't know how you're St. John's and still employ him after saying that. You're paying another program to compete against you. Insane. Dead to me. I loved him up until that point, and it just happened that fast. So, see you, buddy.
Yeah, I hate that, man. I mean, look, I get the bitterness, but how are you bitter against the university when none of the people that treated you the way that you were treated are even there anymore?
I know, and I feel like the fans have treated him very well.
The fans have treated him very well. They've always given him the benefit of the doubt. We've always argued that his banner should be rehung. We've always asked.
I wanted him hired again.
Yeah, a lot of people did. A lot of people did. I mean, but that should say something. Richard did essentially as much when his name was floated for the job.
That probably made it worse, soured him a little more.
No, I think Richard did that. I think they were soured, and Richard's behavior is indicative of how they feel about the University of Louisville. He essentially, led them to believe that he was quite interested when, he was not a top 3 candidate. Right. And so I guess what you're saying is maybe he was soured that they didn't come to him first. Okay. But you can't go to him before you go to Scott Drew. Like, it's not going to happen. Yeah. Right. Like, and so I don't even remember the other guy's name now. I'm just ecstatic that we didn't get him, whatever the second guy was. Drew was first. And then there was another guy that went to IU, maybe. Did he end up going to IU?
It was the. Yeah, no, he went to Michigan.
Yeah. Anyway, he's dead to me too. Kelsey's the man. I'm excited. I'm excited about basketball and seeing where it's going to go. I'm excited to watch U of L basketball on the court very soon in the Bahamas, which is going to be cool. I think we need that. I think we want to see what kind of change. I mean, can we picture this for a moment as they show out down there? How much worse does it make Kenny Payne look?
He's sick.
How can you even make Kenny Payne look worse? But it will, won't it?
So I saw something crazy. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. I don't know if I saved it or if I liked it or if I didn't do any of that. Here it is. Most revenue generated for men's basketball in 2023. Number 1, Louisville, $38.45 million. They generated the most revenue out of any college basketball team in 2023.
How?
Don't know. UK was second at $32.1 million.
How?
No idea.
Well,
this is from College Basketball Report.
They missed projections by $2 million in ticket sales. That was another article. Let me pull that one up.
And then I saw this article, which I did not believe this one. Maybe they take into account season ticket sales and count that in it. But average college basketball attendance relative to arena capacity this past season, it had Louisville at 50%. Zero chance that's true.
So U of L reported 50% capacity?
Yep. Average.
It had to be less.
But yeah, so I don't know if we want to stay on this or move on.
No, I mean, like, seriously, I read something. This is hilarious. I just went on X and searched U of L basketball ticket sales, and the first 3 tweets are, "I'm selling 2 tickets. I'll give away 3 tickets. I have 4 tickets."
And these are all posts to take this ticket
back during the season. So I read somewhere that the university reported publicly that ticket sales missed projections. Remember, they knew it was going to be bad after Payne's first year, so they projected ticket sales for their budget. And came up $2 million short of projections.
Yeah. Well.
So anyway,
still got them. I just sent it to you on Twitter if you want to look at it. But yeah, let's move on. Let's get into our listener questions. So it's funny. We were just in a meeting before this, Jay, and Andrew Dow brought this up. Here with Motto Mortgage, and we're talking about when you're a buyer agent and you're writing an offer for your buyer. And you're asking for compensation, your commission. Do you have to specify that it's for your commission, or can you just write it as closing cost? I had that on here as my notes for today,
and then it came up.
It got brought up.
Well, obviously you know the answer now, but I'll tell the audience. You do not have to specify as it stands currently. But again, the precursor to the entire discussion we had in small group meeting just before this of team leaders and independent agents was we've received next to no guidance on what is required. We know the settlement requires that MLS remove cooperating agent commissions from the MLS. We also know that buyer agents are required to sign a compensation and representation agreement. Well, excuse me, I should say a representation agreement that spells out your compensation prior to working together. We also heard the state of Indiana that put it in statute now is ambiguous about when the document has to be signed. So, I mean, you have a law that supersedes the requirements of a settlement. We'll see. Anyway, we've heard from the mortgage industry that commissions may be included in seller concessions, and they do not count towards previously understood caps of seller concessions. So, for example, on a conventional loan, you can have a 3% seller concession and also a 3% commission independent of one another for a 6% total concession. In that scenario, you could say seller to contribute 6% to seller's cost or to buyer's costs, right? So, or you could itemize it. It really is up to you at this point because we've not received any sort of guidance. Will we? Maybe, maybe not.
Yeah. So that's kind of the way I thought it would go. Basically what we're saying is, let's say there's $100,000 house, to keep it simple. You have an agreement with your buyers that your compensation is 3%. The seller's only offering 2.5%. You write the offer and you say, seller to contribute up to $500 towards buyer's closing costs, prepays, and escrows, and you don't have to specify that $500 is for your commission. The seller will not find out until closing docs come
So
out.
you could apply that $500 toward closing costs, prepaids, and escrows, fees charged by the lender, what have you, and the buyer could still write you a $500 check at closing, or you could still add $500 to the settlement statement under the buyer's side. You could do all those things, any or all of those things, any combination. And when we talk about like transparency, like this is where we start to get into the details, right? And it's what leads to less transparency.
Yeah. So right now it's just up to the agent.
It's just up. It's up in the air. It's between the agent and the client, which it should be. And I wish, in a perfect world, I wish we were in a perfect world. And in a perfect world, you could assume that everybody would communicate effectively, but that's not what we have. We have an industry rife with ill-qualified professionals, and unfortunately, those are going to be the ones that are compensated the least because of their lack of skill behind this. And in that respect, this could be a good thing. Mm-hmm. And when they're compensated less, they stick around less long, and they move on. And our competition, our coworkers, are well qualified, and we all make better and hopefully happy ever after.
Yeah. All right. Cool. So let's talk about this topic. You and I were talking about this before the podcast as well. What are the best ways to hide your buyer's identity if they don't want it known when writing an offer?
There's a couple of ways. I think technically and legally, a buyer can put a property under contract under an alias legally. But that's like more of a theoretical kind of answer. I've not seen it in practice, but as you can imagine, certain buyers' identities complicate negotiations. For example, if in a commercial real estate, Humana wants to acquire a piece of property adjacent to another property they already own or lease or what have you, that space appears or is, in fact, more valuable to them than anyone else because the continuity. So when negotiating, it would behoove Humana or any large business or any extremely wealthy individual potentially, it would behoove them to obscure their identity. Now, in real estate school, you're taught the theory that buyers can purchase under aliases. How do you hold that person accountable when using an alias?
What does that look like? You just put a fake name
Joe
with a
Smith.
sign?
Yeah, Joe Smith instead of Jay Pitts. But how do you
And then you do
how
an
do you hold
addendum at the
Jay
end.
how do you hold Jay Pitts accountable to Joe Smith's actions? Who is Joe Smith? I don't know Joe Smith. So I don't know. I don't know how that works. In practicality, how I've seen it done is through the instrument of an LLC. An LLC is members are not publicly known. They can be, the state can be petitioned to provide those names. They are not private, but they are not listed anywhere in the state of Kentucky. Now, there's certain other states, Delaware specifically, which, I mean, if you read a little bit, that may be in question because of the Tesla thing with Elon Musk's compensation. You know, Delaware has always been home to, based on the size of the state, an abnormal number of corporations because of their business favorable laws. Some of that's in question as a result of, you know, a judge in Delaware essentially striking down or having some sort of interpretation of Elon Musk's compensation agreement. That's a whole nother topic. But Delaware and, say, Nevada, for example, both have very business-friendly business climate and laws. So LLC members are completely private. The state, even if petitioned, would not share those. And I think that's been tested in court also. So, you know, for example, I've had a client that had a Nevada corporation for the simple fact that their identity could be obscured. Now, in Kentucky, somebody has to sign the document. And even if it's so Ryan, you have an LLC in Kentucky, but you want to obscure your identity. You could assign signing authority for your LLC to a third party, to an attorney that doesn't necessarily have to be a member, just through corporate resolution. Okay. And therefore the signature is not your name, right? The registered member with the state of Kentucky. So there is one publicly registered person, a registered agent, I should say, not member. Registered agent has to be someone that could also be your attorney. And then you have attorney-client privilege, and then the attorney's not required to disclose your identity. So you could obscure pretty well your identity by hiring an attorney to be your registered agent and having them sign for you and your LLC under, you know, that attorney-client privilege. That's a pretty good way of doing it. Otherwise, you can do it through a land trust where you're the beneficiary. You appoint a trustee, and the trustee signs everything. And there is no public record of trusts anywhere.
And the trustee, most of the time, is the lawyer.
The trustee can be the lawyer. It could be your friend. It could be your best friend. It needs to be someone you trust.
Yeah.
Obviously, trustee. But yeah, you trust this person to dutifully execute, you know, your business.
And the land trust does not have to be established when writing the offer, but when you close, it obviously has to be established.
It has to be, yes. And that, yeah, that's the way I've seen it done. I mean, I'm not an expert when it comes to these things, but yeah, that's the way I've seen it done. You would need to verify
proof of funds.
Yeah, of course. You have to provide proof of funds. So how do you provide proof of funds for an entity that doesn't exist?
Yeah.
You know, your trust, if your trust doesn't exist, then how can you show proof of funds?
Yeah. Be the difficult part. But
Yeah, but that's just the thing. Like, I mean, if you're buying a piece of property and
you
you're
probably talk to your bank and have them write a letter.
You could.
with
If you're a
the
notorious
trust.
if you're a notorious individual, right? What you're attempting to do is not get the price driven up because you are the buyer.
Right.
That's really what it boils down to.
Yeah. Or you have a relationship with that seller. That
Exactly. And you want to make a low offer and you don't want to offend them.
Right.
There you
Which they'll find out at some point, but
eventually this stuff typically comes out.
yeah.
You know. But that's cool.
Yeah, I think that's a good
cool thing.
topic because I don't think many agents write offers like that or even have to worry about that ever, and it might come across their desk.
You
at
see it
some
in
point.
commercial a ton. Okay, you know, a big construction company or a big box store is buying a piece of raw land to be developed to put in a store. Has a lot of broad-reaching impact. the property owner, when they find out that it's Kroger, putting in a grocery store, like they're gonna charge a premium because of the implications.
Yeah. All right, cool. I think that was two good topics. Anything else you want to cover on it or move on to the next
No,
thing?
great, man. Let's move on.
All right. So I have two Would You Rathers today. We started this
Last week,
and one of them, the clips, are obviously the golf one did good on TikTok. Of course, people were overwhelmingly in favor of your choice. I should have made it more specific to like 100 yards and in.
There you go. I was even thinking like 50 yards.
Everybody was like, I'll just hit a wedge from the tee box on a par 5. But, yeah, I almost threw some shade at you. Comment, but
I mean, I kind of threw you some by saying that everybody agreed with me.
so I have let me find it. So I have two this week. We'll do one now and one at the end of the show. And the reason we're doing one now is because it is real estate related. I actually sent these two to you beforehand so you could think through them. I think it allows for better conversation. So this first one, Jay, would you, as a real estate agent, would you rather never have a listing deal fall out of contract ever again, or never have a buyer deal fall out ever again? I think it's an easy choice.
I think it is too.
I think we're going to have the same reason why.
Okay. I'm going to say I'd rather never have a buyer deal fall out again. And here's why. So that's opposite.
That's opposite.
All right. I'd rather never have a buyer deal fall out ever again. Number one, for the foreseeable future, I see listings in shortage and easier to sell. And listings take substantially less manpower. So when a buyer deal falls out, you have to go back to the drawing board with showing, rolling the tires, finding a house in a short inventory environment. And again, our inventory shortage may be like generational.
Yeah.
Right. It may be, we may be fighting to get contracts accepted for buyers for decades.
So,
and I ain't planning on doing this forever. I mean, I'll do it forever, but because I want to, not because I have to.
Yeah.
So I would rather never lose a buyer deal, because once you get it under contract, it's done. And now I don't have to do it again.
I don't think our inventory. So a little off topic here. Building costs have gone down or starting to plummet right now.
Yep.
And this is only in the last 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So like my wife and I are building a house right now.
Yep.
And if we would have waited to buy, so framed up, roof just got put on. If we would have waited a month later, we probably would have saved like $10,000 to $15,000 right now.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is. Like,
it is.
But they're starting to plummet, which is, a prediction that builders are not going to be building many homes coming up. So
I don't know. We'll see.
yeah, maybe not. We'll see. Like you said, but
This is always above our pay grade.
yeah.
Which I think, anyway, we'll come back to this.
So
I've got something.
if I was trying to think through the two options, and if I would have gone buyer, I would have given the same exact reason you did.
Okay.
I'm going listing though, because what a sell. Go to any listing appointment and you tell them, I never have a deal fall out, and once it's under contract, we're closing this thing.
We're closing this deal.
That's the reason I'd go listing side.
That's basically true for me anyway.
Yeah.
Just saying. And I don't miss many listing appointments. And that sounds really cocky. But as a team, we averaged like 85% conversion on listing appointments. So maybe it's just that, we lose so many more buyer deals as it is. It would make a huge impact for us.
I'm not even going to say I don't have listings fall out, because I don't want to jinx myself.
You don't want to jinx it. No, I get it. Totally. I'm with you. I hear it. The marketing play on that is really exciting. But to me, man, the manpower, like hours spent on buy side,
I know. Yeah.
is crazy.
It is.
And I don't even do a lot. So I guess that, I'm answering from a team perspective, really, because I'm not in the trenches as much anymore. But yeah, I'd really like the Inca deal on the buy side and not have to worry about it anymore.
Yeah, for sure. No, I get it. You have been selling a little more this year.
I have. Like what comes to me. I'm not like beating the streets trying to find it. But you know,
of course not.
I will say that I've had a few commercial deals, big ones, and a few large scale like force multiplying relationships that I have been working on for years that have started to bear fruit. And so, you know, it could have just as easily been a few of those hit last year, and it just didn't happen.
Yeah. I was thinking about this. So, you know, last year I didn't really sell the first like 8 months, started selling the last 4 months, and I'm in that like first tier of awards for Remax last year. I think with the strong end of the year, I could skip the 100% and go to the next one. Would that be the first skip in the brokerage?
I don't know. I don't know that I've kept that. There's got to be I don't know. There's got to be someone that joined from another office that was already kind of like at that place. Yeah. Like maybe Teresa Wallace went straight to platinum. I don't know. That I don't know. I would have to check.
That's my goal now for
the year. So you don't want to hit 100%. You just want to skip 100 and go straight to platinum.
Yeah.
Which would be pretty exciting. So did I tell you?
I'm like more than over the halfway there. I'm like 65-ish% of the way there.
So I got 100% my first year. I was $900 short of platinum my second year. 900. Dang. Like I'd have bought a house.
Yeah, you should have bought a house.
I'd have just bought a house and paid myself to hit the goal.
Which then you're probably making less money because instead of just waiving your commission because you're paying taxes on it.
But still, I mean, it's funny because there's a $150,000 income increase that happened between year 1 and year 2.
Yeah.
And I missed it by $900. Like,
That's
come
sick.
on. Yeah, I was sick to my stomach at that time. Of course, I was 25 then, too. So it was like.
Oh, we've talked about that. That's you're buying your friends drinks at the bar.
Of course. Yeah, you're acting rich when you're not.
But then it was like here's a $1.50 Coors Light for you.
That's exactly right. And you thought you were balling.
And now, I mean, I don't even know. I haven't been out to a bar late at night in a while now, so I don't even know what they sell like a Bud Light for it.
I have no idea.
Late at night at, say, I don't even know where people go.
Yeah.
O'Shea's.
O'Shea's is still a thing, probably.
Man, I love O'Shea's. Nicest workers ever. But let's move on. So
O'Shea's has the best tartar sauce in Louisville.
Dude, their fish and chips.
Fish and chips is so good. Tartar sauce it's got a lot of dill in it. That's weird to say, but it's really good.
I love dill.
Yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
All right, it's a golf food, and
we didn't even get a reaction out of him. On that one. I was waiting for a giggle. We're weird. It's okay. You can tell us.
We're definitely rambling right now.
That's good though.
All right, so I saw this article. Top 1% of real estate agents make up 15% of home sales. So I went through to see if they broke it down by state. And if you had to guess, what percentage of homes do the top 1% of agents in Kentucky sell a year? And, you know, when I say top 1% of agents, it's not who's the best, it's who sells the most.
And it's units, not volume.
I'm not sure on that. I'll have to.
Because that would probably change my opinion.
Okay. I'm not sure.
Let me just explain why. So if top 1% of agents make up top 15% of volume sold, I feel like that would be dominated by large luxury markets. For example, we talked about Tracy French talked about a $250 million penthouse sale, right? I mean, for example, our team will not sell $250 million in real estate this year. It's 40 people that will do nearly 700 transactions that will not amass $250 million as a whole this entire year. And that's one agent on one transaction in Manhattan that will do a $250 million single sale.
Yeah.
Right. So, if you ask me how many units that the top 1% of agents sell in Kentucky,
I think it's units.
If it's units in Kentucky, I'm going to say it's greater than 15%. because I think a place like Kentucky with a relatively low average sales price, what you have is you have teams like ours that perfect the process and have a really successful business in spreading the system out over a number of transactions. Where in high price markets, that's not as necessary because people can make more money with less transactions. Yeah.
So
I'm going to say 20%.
20%
of transactions.
pretty far off, actually. It's 11%.
So it's less.
And we're like towards the bottom of all states. So the highest is Florida, 23%. So 1% of agents sell 23% of the homes there. Kentucky's
Interesting.
down towards the bottom. Now they also go on to top 5% of agents. So Kentucky is 30%, pretty far down the list again. But the highest was Florida at 39%.
That's probably. I mean, I'm flip flopping now, but as you say that, and it is extremely like in the opposite direction of what I said. A lot of Kentucky is really behind the times.
Yeah.
So the number of real estate agents in small communities that do just a handful of transactions, there's a lot of parity there.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I could see that. Now, if you just did a sampling of Louisville, Lexington, Elizabethtown, Owensboro, Bowling Green, Northern Kentucky, there's probably other areas that could be included. Paducah, maybe. I think you'd see the opposite.
Yeah.
I think you'd see the opposite. I think those areas are dominated by big teams.
Yeah, maybe. So I get a lot of this stuff from Resi Club.
Okay. Interesting.
I'm thinking about buying a subscription to it.
Okay.
They put out some fantastic
There's an endorsement.
stuff. Yeah.
I've never heard of them.
It's kind of a newer startup. I think they've only been around a few years. I could be completely wrong on that, but I follow the founder on Twitter.
Okay.
And puts out phenomenal data
Great.
in real estate that I haven't seen anywhere else.
All right. I'm throwing a follow that way right now.
And then, so they also do top 20% of agents. So Kentucky, top 20% of agents in Kentucky sell 60% of the homes. So substantial increase there. So the bottom 80% sell 40%.
So that doesn't meet the Pareto principle, right? The Pareto principle says 20% do 80%. It almost and it across.
There's not even one state where 20% do 80%. The highest
Really?
is Kansas. 20% do 76%. And then Florida, 20% do 70%.
Wow. Okay. All right. So Resi Club.
RESI Club. Hey, Resi Club, you want to sponsor our podcast?
Do it.
I'll wear a hat and a shirt every single episode.
Resi Club. So at Residential Club.
Yep.
Follow. What's the CEO? That's all right. We'll do it off air.
Might.
If you think of it.
I'll look it up later and tell you off air, and we'll bring it up next episode.
Okay. Do we have another Would You Rather?
We do. Do you want to do that now?
Yeah, because how much time we got left?
We've been going about 38 minutes.
All right, just do it, and then I've got a question for you.
Okay. It's another golf one, so sorry. But would you rather never three putt again, or always get it up and down out of a greenside bunker?
Always up and down out of a greenside bunker.
Yeah, I think I'm going that one too.
I think it's because
even though there's some rounds I'm never in a greenside bunker.
I know, but I'm awful out of the sand, and I've become what I feel like is pretty decent. Not with like trash greens either. I play at Lake Forest, and they're cutting tight and they roll fast, and like it's not the easiest course to putt on. And I've gotten pretty good at lag putting, and I mean I'm gonna probably three putt once around still because I'm not great, but that's one of my lowest concerns at the moment. I'm awful out of the sand.
Yeah, me too. So that's the worst part of my game. Like I'm a good golfer, and I've always been very poor out of greenside bunkers. I had the yips actually in college. Only time I've ever experienced that. I wouldn't say it was like the true yips. Like I didn't have trouble pulling the trigger. I had trouble when I got to the ball, and like I'd yip at it and thin it over the green and make double bogey.
Yeah, of course. You watched me do it a couple times the other day. So yeah, I think that's what I'm going with. Not a lot of controversy with this one, but I mean I don't know. Three putt could eliminate a lot of strokes, but I really think like greenside bunkers are pretty catastrophic, and I miss a lot of greens, so like I tend to be in the sand a little bit.
Well, I'm just thinking you get to a par 5 and I have a chance to reach to the green. I'm like, I'll just hit in the bunker. It's automatic birdie.
I love it. Okay, so my question for you.
This is different.
My question for you. We had a presidential debate the other day.
Oh, gosh.
As everyone knows. I'm sure everyone has seen or heard something about it.
I refuse to say anything on social media because it's annoying seeing everybody.
Supposedly 80 million people watched, which is incredible. Like, that is like second probably only to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, let's see. How many people watched the Super Bowl last year?
Yeah. So supposedly 80 million people watched. We are on record as saying that this will be the lowest turnout election since when?
Ever.
2000? Since 2000, maybe?
I said ever. But yeah.
Okay, maybe ever. Since then, since we've said this, and I even brought this up in an episode, not that I felt like I was changing course after Trump was convicted of 34 felonies, because I felt like a high turnout election would be, because you have 50% of the country on one side and 50% on the other, and one side would be really energized. I think I'm going back to the low turnout election. What say you? As a result of the debate.
If it stays the same nominees, I would say yes, still low. I'm sticking to it.
If you listen to the pundits and the polling, as a result, then Trump has an advantage, which stymies some of the excitement required by his side. If you follow even the Democrat pundits that are now no longer excited about Biden's candidacy, it probably spells low turnout election from that side too. So this could now be a very low turnout election.
Yeah. I just
now
saw
a lot to yet happen.
Yep.
I suppose an exciting new candidate on the Democrat side could energize turnout.
Yep. I saw 2 minutes before we started recording this podcast that in betting markets, Kamala Harris has better odds now than Joe Biden.
Yeah. There was a better than
president.
50% as of Friday of last week, the day after the debate. There was a better than 50% chance that the nominee changed in the betting odds.
Which,
so now it appears
you found a website, didn't you? You're an app to bet on.
There was a website, BetUS. I didn't create an account. I was just curious because I heard that some websites were taking action on presidential debate prop bets, which I thought was just hilarious.
I wonder what the rules are on that. Why is there not just you have FanDuel and apps just for sports, or DraftKings? Why is there not just one for political?
Well, it's not legal, I don't believe, to bet on elections. So anywhere you would bet on the outcome of an election is an offshore site. Like a business operating in the United States, I do believe it is illegal to host bets on our elections themselves. That's why this company could do props based on the debate only, because it's not the outcome of the election.
Gotcha.
But how do you hold these companies? This is just a funny question for me. You sit there and you watch the debate, and it's a prop bet on who says the word democracy first, whatever, right? And it's plus 120 here and minus 140 there. And one of them says it, and you clearly see it, and then it doesn't pay out. How do you hold them accountable?
Get a lawyer, class action.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's just wild to me that this is the world we live in. That with these things,
it's ridiculous.
It should make you proud, not in the act itself, but that we live in such an opulent life that these things actually make sense. That some people would do them.
Before you close this out here, I've told you before. I've learned this from my parents, and some I've respected about you always, and some I've tried to learn, like I said, from you and my parents is, no matter your political opinions, it's not worth putting it on social media, especially when you own a large business or you're an entrepreneur in some way. I don't know. It's just everybody does it, and to me, it feels good to not do it ever. Even though you obviously have your feelings, but it's like a bumper sticker at this point to me. Like people that put bumper stickers on their car, whose mind do you think you're going to change by that? Nobody's.
Nobody.
Whose mind are you going to change by posting on social media? Nobody's. It's not going to help you or hurt you by not doing it. So like, it's better to be just people. You don't want people to think of you and think of your politics with it, in my opinion.
The best way I can explain it, Ryan, is I'm not an atheist. I'm agnostic. Like, which I realize those are religious terms.
Oh, I was saying I'm a political atheist.
Well, that means you're very passionate about the way I take that is you're very passionate about not having an opinion.
Yeah, kind of.
I'm just not affected.
Yeah.
I'm not affected by the actions of either within my own headspace, right? I'm not mentally invested in the team dynamic, right? This opposition that is created, right? The system is designed to support itself. That's what it is. And if you get caught up and drug into the soap opera of it all, you're worse off for it. Okay. Now, I like to follow politics because I believe economy is downstream from politics and real estate markets are downstream from economy. And so I feel like I can more accurately predict the future, if you will, of what we're going to have to deal with as an industry by understanding where the political parties are. But, as I said in this meeting, I believe Congress is designed to get nothing done. And every president for a long time, every consecutive president signs more executive orders than the one prior. So we are increasingly becoming a government of executive fiat, which is why the popularity contest of president is more and more important. Okay. But the truth is, I've had great success under Republicans. I've had great success under Democrats. I've had great success under Republican control of houses of Congress, great success under the, Democratic control of Congress. It's not them, it's me. Right? So why am I? So Michael Jordan said Republicans buy Nikes too, right? Famously, whether he said that or not, I think it's rumored that was false, but supposedly he said that. He's been attributed to saying that. Why would I ever take a stance that would piss off 50% of the population when I want to sell houses to all of them?
Yeah.
Why would I ever do
I
that?
think that's what people forget too, and they get like so tied up in their party is they think the majority of people think the way they think, but it's literally like basically 50-50 in the country.
It is 50-50. And I'm of the opinion that if you put every person on a spectrum, right, of liberal to conservative, that the majority of sane, rational people that you would like to spend your time with exist within 10% of the center in either direction.
Yeah.
Right? Or 5% even. The middle 10. That needs to be a thing, middle 10. The middle 10 is who I want to associate with. I don't want to associate with the fringe of either. I may be socially progressive and fiscally conservative. I may be the opposite of that. And people that are, if that's what I am, which I probably am, socially progressive and fiscally conservative, if I am those two things, someone that is the polar opposite of that, but within 5% of the center, I'm going to have a lot in common with. And I want to be able to speak to them. So why would I silo myself with one issue, one opinion on one thing that puts me at odds with that individual when we have way more in common than we have in contrast?
Right.
It doesn't make any sense. It's never made sense to me. Like, honestly, it is entertaining to me to sit back and watch the fervor that people, I can tell you within real estate professionals, when I see a political post on Facebook, and I'm friends with all of the realtors, okay? I can look at the person, I can read the first 3 words, tell it's a political post, know where they stand, and tell you with like reasonable certainty exactly who's going to respond and what they're going to say.
Yep.
Why would I do that to myself? Number one, I don't agree with most of their points because the only people that post about it are typically more fringe than they are, center leaning.
I just think, honestly, now being a dad, like, I know my son and future kids won't want their parents posting about political stuff on social media all the time. I've always loved, like, that my parents don't do that because, like, I don't know, it's just they're focused
cringy.
on their business and other
It's
things,
cringy.
and they have more important things to.
That's it. Raise above the fray.
work on, right.
That's really what it boils down to. So yeah, no, I didn't. Again, I didn't mean to go down a political path. Obviously, I wanted to hear your opinion. I now believe that we're heading back in the direction of a low turnout election.
Sweet.
So I mean, hopefully that's impactful in good ways and not bad ways. But I mean, it is what it is. I don't know what that's going to be. We'll have to decide when we get there. But that's another thing, man. My business has always been adaptable. It's always been adaptable. It has to be, right? In order to have success in this industry, the only constant is change. So you must be adaptable.
Yep. Absolutely. Cool, man.
How tied it back into real estate there? You like that?
Perfect.
All right, folks. That's all the time we got for you. As a reminder, Resource Live, August 15th from 10 a.m. to approximately 2 p.m. Two great national speakers. We talked about it at the top of the show. One thing I may not have said was how to register. Email me, text me, DM me. Anywhere you find this podcast, you'll find contacts to our socials. Get me there. There is also a QR code which I can send out, or a bit.ly link where you can register through Eventbrite and make sure you secure your seat. Just ask for it and you shall receive. But again, that's all the time we got for you this week. At J Pitts Realtor on all the socials, at ryanharris.re. Give us feedback, 5-star reviews, anything, comments. We're happy to receive all of that. Thank you again for listening. We'll catch you next week. Again, I'm your host, Jay Pitts, for the Jay Pitts Show with Ryan Harris. We'll see you soon.
Peace.